Hey everyone, and welcome. When I say the word entrepreneur, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it like a tech billionaire in a hoodie, maybe? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and really dig into what entrepreneurship actually looks like. Let's get into it.
So, let's ask that question again. What does an entrepreneur really look like? Is it only that Ivy League dropout with some crazy world-changing idea? Or is it maybe someone a little closer to home?
I mean, just look at this slide. The gap between the myth and the reality is huge, right? That stereotype is super powerful. But the truth? Well, the truth is so much bigger, so much more interesting. It's the person who owns your favorite local coffee shop. It's the innovator working inside a giant company. Or maybe it's that artist you follow who's selling their creations online. That is the real story of entrepreneurship.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by smashing that billionaire myth. Then, we'll get into why entrepreneurs are so darn important for everyone. We'll also map out the different types of entrepreneurs, check out their essential skills, and finally, we'll weigh the massive risks against the incredible rewards. Okay, first things first, we are going way beyond the billionaire. It's time to challenge that old stereotype and really broaden our definition. Because, this is about so much more than just startups in Silicon Valley. It's a mindset that can and does exist everywhere.
So now let's talk about why this whole thing matters to you. Entrepreneurship isn't just some niche business topic. Nope, it's actually a powerful engine for societal change. It affects all of us, whether we're running a business or not.
And here's exactly how they do it. Entrepreneurs, they kickstart economic growth that ripples through the entire market. They create new wealth, often by serving audiences that bigger companies totally ignore. They drive massive social change. Just think about how smartphones changed, everything. And they build communities, both in our neighborhoods and online across the globe.
And the scale of this impact? It's gigantic. Get this. According to the Small Business Administration, small businesses are responsible for 44% of all business activity in the U.S. That is a colossal economic footprint coming from the very people we tend to overlook.
The word entrepreneur isn't a one-size-fits-all label, not even close. There are all these different types and styles, and each one has its own unique approach. So let's get into the details. Let's map out that entrepreneurial DNA. So first up, we've got the small business entrepreneur. This is probably the one you run into the most. These are the people building businesses right in our communities. A key thing here is that they often incorporate their business, which gives them some legal protection. But it also means they take on way more personal and financial risk than, say, a sole proprietor, which is basically someone where the person and the business are legally the same thing. Then you've got the investor entrepreneur. You've seen them on shows like Shark Tank, right? It's this really fascinating hybrid role. They aren't just cutting checks, they're putting up the capital and then using their own experience to help guide the strategy, all from a position of ownership, hoping to cash in on the business's success.
And of course, here's our famous stereotype, the technology entrepreneur. We're talking Gates, Bezos, the big names. But what really defines them isn't just the tech. It's how they apply scientific innovation to solve a real business problem. And it's usually fueled by this incredible passion and a super long-term vision.
Okay, now this one is really cool. The intrapreneur. This is somebody who acts like an entrepreneur, but inside a big existing company. Think about the team at Google that came up with Gmail as a side project. These folks are self-starters, they're proactive, and they bring that innovative fire to the company, but without having to risk their own life savings. They're changing things from the inside out.
And finally, the online entrepreneur. The internet makes it easier than ever to start a business, right? You've got low startup costs and you can reach a global audience instantly. But it's not all easy. These entrepreneurs are often totally at the mercy of their tech platforms, think social media algorithms or e-commerce sites, to even stay in business. It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Okay, so beyond the types of businesses they run, entrepreneurs also have different styles. You've got the innovator, like a Thomas Edison, who literally transforms whole industries with brand new ideas. Then there's the manager, who's amazing at building and leading a team to make a vision a reality. The opportunist is brilliant at spotting a problem and then racing to get a solution to the market. And then you have the revolutionary, like a Steve Jobs, who just comes in and completely flips the script on how things are done.
So we've seen all these different types and styles. Now let's figure out what they all have in common. What are the absolutely essential skills and personal traits that every single one of them needs in their toolkit?
When you boil it all down, it comes down to one single powerful trait: leadership. Look, you can have the most amazing idea in the world, the most perfect business plan, But without strong leadership, it's just an idea on paper. Leadership is the spark. It's what turns that vision into a real thing, what convinces investors, what guides a team, and what helps you navigate all the storms that are definitely going to come your way.
And that leadership is backed up by these core skills. Great interpersonal communication is critical for, well, everything, from making a sale to keeping your team motivated. Understanding organizational behavior, which is really just the science of how people act in a company, helps you build a great culture. And of course, you need a smart, flexible business strategy to stay on track and know when it's time to pivot.
But it's not just about what you can learn. It's also about your mindset. Successful entrepreneurs are almost always independent thinkers who just see the world a little differently. They have to be optimistic and confident, especially when everyone else is doubting them. They're tenacious, they're visionary, they're creative problem solvers. But maybe most importantly, as this slide says, they are action-oriented. They'd much rather try something, fail, and learn from it than just sit around waiting for the perfect moment, because guess what? It never comes.
Now, all of this sounds pretty inspiring, right? But it's not the whole story. For this last part, we have to get real. We have to look at the cold, hard reality of this journey, the incredible highs and the absolutely crushing lows.
Let's start with the good stuff, the rewards, because they are huge. Yeah, of course, there's the potential for financial success and the freedom of being your own boss. But it's also about creating jobs for people, about building something for your community, about making a real difference. And for so many entrepreneurs, the biggest reward is something that money just can't buy.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The ultimate prize is that pure, deep satisfaction of taking an idea, something that only existed in your head, and building it into a real, successful business that you brought to life with your own two hands.
But that path is not easy. The dream is powerful, but let me tell you, the reality is incredibly tough.
And the data? Well, the data doesn't lie. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of new businesses are gone within the first year. By the 5-year mark, half of them have failed. And after a decade, a staggering 70% are gone. The odds are tough.
So yeah, the risk is huge, the path is hard, and failure is really, really common. But as we've seen, the potential to make a personal, communal, and economic impact is absolutely undeniable. And that leaves us with one last big question. What problem out there is just waiting for your solution?